When I ventured out in 2019, there were destinations that I had yet to reach. I knew that one day I would return, and I wanted to be ready, not only physically, but spiritually. That is what Ireland is to me, a spiritual journey. With each trip, it's a new personal awakening. To say I was a bit giddy on my return visit in 2022 would be putting it mildly. Traveling to this next location, I could feel the anticipation. I've waited 3 years to see this site for myself. The history, the lore, the day had finally arrived. Westport is one of the few planned towns in Ireland. Designed by Georgian architect James Wyatt in the 1780s. The town was commissioned by the first Earl of Altamont, John Brown of the stately Westport House, as a place for tenants and workers to live. The origins of the Westport House dates back to the 1500s. Back to the time of Pirate Queen Grace O'Malley, as her castle forms the foundation of this beautiful estate. The Brown family, who were descendants of Grace O'Malley, owned this estate until an acquisition was successful by local brothers of the Hughes Group. This estate had its doors open to the public around 1960. Although breathtakingly beautiful, it is what you cannot see is the entire reason for my visit today. But we'll get into that a little bit later. I could go on for hours showing you all of the photos of the exquisite craftsmanship throughout this marvelous building. However, due to time constraints, there are a few items of interest that I would love to share with you. Not your average antlers. These are dated to approximately 2.6 million years. They belong to an Irish elk and were discovered in a bog outside of the Westport House around 170 years ago. An old torn Mayo Legion flag that was brought to Ireland in 1798. It has remained there, hanging beneath the right-hand staircase in the entrance hall ever since. Speaking of the entrance hall, you cannot miss the Angel of Welcome. Sculpted by American sculptor Charles Francis Fuller in 1862. The architect of the staircase the angel sits upon was George Wilkinson, the same man who would design all of the workhouses that were built before and during the Great Famine in Ireland in the 1840s. It is said that after a long stay away, the Brown family would return to shake the outstretched hand of the angel as a welcome home. The angel has been mistaken as a unicorn angel. However, it is a flame, not a horn, coming from the head to represent the Holy Spirit. And then I rounded a corner down a long hall. I see her. The reason for my visit to this location. What I've been waiting for 3 years. Grace O'Malley. Standing in the dungeons, feeling the dampness, hearing the drips of the water, I could feel her energy there. This was her land. Still is. I don't care what anybody says. But as I was standing there, just for a few moments, taking in that experience, I couldn't help but think of some of the things that I have learned, heard, and read about her, such as these few tidbits. She did not speak English, born into a pirate clan. She only spoke Gaelic and refused to ever speak English. As a child, and wanting to join her father in the fierce seas, and told that it was not the right place for a girl, boy, did that make her mad. So she decided that she was going to shave her hair right off and look more like a boy. Her father gave in and took her on board to Spain. This is what started the legend of Gráinne Ní Mháille. Defying all the odds, she became one of the most ruthless pirates of her time. As a matter of fact, in 1623, 20 years after her death, O'Malley was recognized as a leader of fighting men by the British Lord Deputy of Ireland. Her fight for equality finally paid off, and to this day she remains a heroic figure among the Emerald Isle. As one may imagine, times were not easy then. By the age of 23, Grace was a widow with 3 children. She took on her late husband's castle and a fleet of ships before returning to the County of Mayo with a strong crew. A few years later, she would remarry. She gave birth to her 4th child on board of one of her fighting ships, but returned to deck wrapped in a blanket to lead her fleet into battle just an hour later. Yeah, I'd give you 2 guesses who won. You're not going to need but one. She often docked in the fishing village of Howth, County Dublin, to restock supplies for her crew. One of her visits, in search of welcome but was refused entry, as the Lord was having his dinner and, well, did not wish to receive guests. Big mistake. Grace responded by kidnapping the heir of Howth and refused to release him until it was agreed the castle would always be prepared to receive her for dinner. To this day, a place set for Gráinne Ní Mháille every night at Howth Castle is set. One of the highlights of this trip was meeting Gráinne Ní Mháille in my own way.